Hi, I'm Leslie Meredith with Breakbulk Events and Media, and I'm joined in the studio at Breakbulk Africa by Nivan Moodley, who's just finished a session on the state of African oil and gas. Big topic, interesting right now. Tell us, what are the biggest challenges facing the industry right now?
Yeah, so thanks. I think the biggest challenge at the moment is obviously the drop in the oil price. We're seeing prices now of 35 on average barrels per barrel, which is significantly lower than the 80 to 90 to 100 that we were seeing a year and a half, 2 years ago. So, it has resulted in large companies being unable to quickly adapt to that because of the sudden drop. So you're seeing costs still being high, but obviously your revenue dropping.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's been now a lot of projects being put on hold because of that. On the care and maintenance, also, a lot of projects are being stopped, some not continuing. I'm talking about large-scale upstream exploration projects across Africa because of the oil price.
Right, and do you think that that's going to change anytime soon, or is it time to sort of adjust to a new normal?
Yeah, so if you looked at one of my slides in the presentation, I asked is 30 the new 80, because basically that's what I think the new norm is going to be. So you're going to average out 35. You might just hit a $40 mark for the next few months to a year, but I don't think it's going to be going much higher than that. So yes, companies now need to adjust to that. And how do you adjust?
Right, how are they going to do that?
So, a lot of companies now need to start looking at cost optimization. They are doing that, but they've got to be a bit more radical about it. It means cutting costs across your value chain. It means interacting with your service providers. It means looking at your outbound and your inbound logistics in a more aggressive way to take out any of the new fat that's in the system. It also means liaising with government, your national oil companies and your government to look at fiscal changes maybe. And government needs to now introduce new incentives into the system to actually ensure that you keep the investment in the country. Because it's critical, right? I mean, government can stand to lose approximately 50 billion or so dollars in taxes and in revenue, lost revenue, because of the drop. Because now there's no production. You're not building any more infrastructure, so there's no development of your supplies and local content. There's no employment. So the whole, it's a domino effect.
Right.
So they've got to the government has got to come to the party now with that.
Okay.
So I think those are the two key areas. And there is slowly but surely, if you look at the governments across Africa have risen to that and are actually implementing.
Do you see some governments being more proactive than others?
Most definitely, and I think sometimes being more proactive is not necessarily the right way, because what happens is you tend to actually put in measures and legislation that actually is not fit for purpose. A good example for me is probably, we're seeing it now in South Africa, is the MP RDA, where government had a bit of ambiguity because it was mixed in with the Mining Act as well on the exploration side. And then they had the issue of 20% free carry. So if you're a large oil and gas company in exploration, you actually need to give 20% to government, free. And then there's the whole issue of BE, which wasn't clear. And then there's the other issue of government can at some stage sell that stake at a later stage without actually at any value that they want to anybody.
Okay.
So that's one of the many challenges of that. So and hence when government makes these legislative changes and be proactive, you still got to involve industry. You still got to involve all key stakeholders.
Right, it's really got to be a collaboration based on what's happening now and what the forecast is.
Exactly,
right?
and you've got to be flexible as well. We're not seeing enough flexibility in governments across Africa to accommodate, because everyone's in a bad position, including themselves.
Sure.
So let go of the tight regime, call it rules. I'm not saying don't have the rules, have it in place, but be enough to accommodate everybody in the
Sure.
system.
Okay. What are the opportunities? Kind of looked at a lot of the challenges. Are there opportunities ahead that people in our industry, project owners might be able to sort of tap into?
So I think one opportunity for project owners and service providers in the industry is to get into with government and the owners of these large assets, not only through your EPCMs, but directly engage with because these are large scale companies as well. Make them understand the value you're bringing through, make them understand that the costs you could save as well. Because largely, wrongly or rightly, a lot of things are channeled through EPCMs, and it's a good thing. But there's another opportunity here to actually drive those costs and manage. The second one I see is on the LNG side. So LNG is becoming a big play. If you take South Africa as one, given the urbanization and the growth, well, it's slowed down a bit, but there is growth here. And there is opportunity for LNG to go through to power stations and convert some diesel power stations into gas, convert diesel transport like your buses into gas driven, as well as industry, your large manufacturing industries for that to happen. So I think that's one opportunity where your Breakbulk and other service providers can be involved through the transport of not only the LNG side, it's not actually Breakbulk, but you can do that.
Sure.
And then obviously through the infrastructure components, your equipment, your piping, your storage facilities. You will have a local component manufacturer, but you will also need to get a lot coming through from your other countries where they've done that before.
Good.
I think that's a big opportunity. Then there's obviously staying in the game, as I mentioned, in the oil side. Just stay in the game, see this out and stabilize to the new norm as such.
I like that. Thank you so much.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate your insight.
Pleasure.